so this car's in for a full service. Recently loan springs, forged elbow, forged hard pipe, Infinit down pipe, Infinit intercooler, meth kit, a CT carbon splitter and rear diffuser with side skirts, and that's it.
Alright, so today we've got an RS3 in for stage 2 plus. We're going to be fitting a water meth injection kit to it as well. So this is the kit that we fit. It's an AEM V3 kit. You've got this is what comes with the kit. You get a pump, you get a controller, you get a solenoid, you get a bit of vacuum pipe, some cover for the wires and vacuum pipes, the reservoir itself, and a sensor wire for the reservoir to tell the controller when it's low on fluid. So the way we fit the water meth kits on the RS3 is a little bit different. We don't use this, so this doesn't get used at all. This doesn't get used either. What we actually do is we use the windscreen washer fluid reservoir instead. That's got a built-in level sensor that tells the cluster, or tells you on the cluster, when the fluid is low. So we prefer to use this method. We also mount the pump itself inside the engine bay. We get a lot of RS3s in that don't have a solenoid fitted. This is basically a one-way solenoid, so when the meth isn't spraying, fluid can't get through the solenoid. So what actually happens is, on a lot of cars that don't have a solenoid, they suck methanol in even when the pump isn't spraying. So the purpose of this controller is it's got a boost signal here. So when it detects boost, it sprays methanol into the charge pipe. But if you don't have a solenoid fitted, because of the vacuum that the engine produces on overrun and on idle, it sucks methanol in when you don't want it to, and that can cause rough starts, or it can cause your methanol to drain pretty rapidly on the car, which you don't want, you know. These are the nozzles that AEM provide. So this is the 3rd generation of their nozzle, which is pretty good. They give you 3 different heads with it. You get a 250cc, a 500cc and a 1000cc head with it. On the stage 2 plus cars we use a 250cc. The aim of the game with methanol is maximise cooling efficiency without flooding the cylinders with too much methanol, because with too much water methanol, you need to understand that when you're taking up space inside the cylinder with water and methanol, you've got less space for charge pressure to compress inside the cylinder. So you want to have an equilibrium where you've got just enough water methanol inside the charge system to cool the charge temp down, and not too much that it's taking up too much room inside the combustion chamber, so that it doesn't make as much power. So that's why we use a 250cc nozzle on the stage 2 plus cars. On stage 3 cars we use the 500cc nozzle. Anything over 800 horsepower gets a 1000cc. This nozzle as well, there's a couple of different locations where you can spray methanol into. You can spray it into the intake manifold after the throttle body, but this I definitely do not recommend, because that area after the throttle body is always in vacuum when it's at idle or on overrun. So if you spray after the throttle body, not only does it not have enough room to atomize and spread itself over all 5 cylinders, it also, when the car's on idle the intake manifold's in a vacuum, and when it's on overrun, the intake manifold's in a vacuum, so it will just suck methanol in and drain your methanol supply even when you don't want it to. It can also cause hydrolock, but that's a very rare case. It would need to be, you would need to have no check valve in the system for that to happen. We like to spray inside the charge pipe. That's around 6 to 8 inches before the throttle body. That gives it the perfect amount of time to atomise and spread itself across all 5 cylinders. And there's also no vacuum in most cases inside the charge pipe because it's before the throttle body. So that alongside the solenoid means that you're not going to be spraying methanol, or methanol's not going to be getting sucked in to the engine when you don't want it to. Right, so water methanol has 2 purposes. It sprays into the charge pipe, so when it sprays into the charge pipe, the water evaporates, and that's the process that actually cools the charge air temperature down. So if you imagine it's a hot day and you're in a swimming pool and you come out of the swimming pool and you immediately feel pretty cool, that's because the water's evaporating from your body, and that's the effect that makes you feel a lot colder. It's very similar to the effect when water methanol is spraying inside the charge pipe. It evaporates and it cools down the combustion, the intake air temperature. The other effect is when you mix water methanol, so why it's called water methanol is you mix 50% with water and the other 50% with methanol. The methanol increases the octane content that's going into the engine. So methanol's got a really high octane content. So when you've got 50% water, water supplies the cooling abilities. The other 50% being methanol, that supplies the higher octane content. Now, we do tune water methanol into Mach 4, but with our engine safeties, if anything was to ever go wrong with the water methanol kit, or if you were to run out of methanol, it would automatically, within 1 millisecond, take you out of Mach 4. So it would take you out of the meth map and put you into a safer map. So that way you've got peace of mind knowing that if the water methanol ever does fail, it's not going to damage your engine. So quite often we get asked, with our map 4 on the RS3s being either an octane booster map or a water methanol injection map, what is the difference between the two? So this is octane booster here, this is a bottle octane booster. This actually goes into the fuel tank and it increases the octane content of the fuel itself. Okay, so your engine is now getting increased octane content through the fuel. This is methanol. So this is 99.9% methanol. You can buy it pretty easily off eBay. We mix this, when we're running water methanol injection kits, we mix this 50% with water, and it goes into the windscreen washer fluid reservoir. From there it sprays into the charge air pipe and it gets sucked into the engine through the intake. So this has got 2 benefits. It cools the intake air temperature and it increases the octane content of the fuel, but it does come as a compromise because you're now taking up space within the cylinder that could have been used to compress charge air. So obviously liquids don't compress, air compresses. You are taking up a little bit of space inside the combustion temperature for water methanol. So it's 2 different ways of doing the same thing. But when you use octane booster, because it's not taking up any additional space in the combustion temperature that regular fuel would, you don't compromise on that. However, you cannot run this on every tank of fuel. My personal advice would be, run this on a tank of fuel, skip 2 or 3 tanks and then run it again. You can't run this all the time. These have got some kind of oil, they've got special chemicals in them to increase the octane content of the fuel. One of them is a type of oil, and that oil, it gums the spark plugs, it gums up the injectors. So if you're using this on every tank of fuel, we have seen it before and you will run into injector failure pretty quickly just because it gums everything up. So if you're running this, run it on 1 tank of fuel, skip 2 or 3 tanks and then run it again. This is absolutely fine to be used regularly, but as long as you skip tanks of fuel in between. The thing with water methanol is you can run it 24/7. You can run it all the time and you're never going to have any kind of issues with it. It's also got another benefit as well, because it's spraying liquid into the charge air, to the charge air system. It keeps everything nice and clean inside the charge air system, so the backs of the valves stay nice and clean because they're always getting sprayed by methanol, which is obviously washing them down and keeping everything clean. But if it was my car, my personal preference would be a water methanol injection kit, just because you can't run this on every tank of fuel, and with the water methanol you can run it on every tank of fuel. If you were to fill up the windscreen washer fluid reservoir 50-50, it's about 4.8 litres. That'll last you, depending on how you're driving, if you're going out for a spirited drive, it'll probably last you about a tank and a half of fuel if you're really going for it. If you're doing normal mileage, driving to work and back, or just cruising around, when you're cruising around, the water methanol isn't spraying, so it doesn't use it. It only uses it when it detects a certain amount of boost that we set on the controller. We usually set them to about 12 psi to start spraying, and around the 26 psi to stop spraying, 1.85 bar. That's going to be the higher limit of the spray. But yeah, it's not spraying unless you're making power on the RS3. It doesn't spray at all. You're not going to lose any methanol on idle, cruising around, driving to work, etc, etc. Now we're fitting a water methanol injection kit to a stage 2 plus setup. We should actually call this the BALLER package. It's quite a popular package. It's a fit and forget system. I was also getting more sport tuning package, which is our map switching, our engine safety, and rolling launch control. Also getting our intercooler, forged turbo elbow and a hard pipe, power flex lower engine mount, our down pipe, and some lowering springs. So it's also getting latest revision coil packs and OEM plugs. Nice RS3 that's being set up. Go for map 2, push the cruise control stick down, switch it to map 2. Not bad, making 1.5 bar at 85% wastegate. Obviously the meth was spraying and the car was able to complete its run in map 4. Just to show you how our engine safeties work along with our map switching, I'm going to disconnect the meth controller and do another pull in map 4. What it's going to do then is flash the engine light a couple of times and automatically kick me out of map 4, which is the meth dependent map. That means that if the meth ever stops working, or if you run out of meth, it will automatically take you out of the meth map, which is safe. You know, nothing's ever going to go wrong with our meth setups. I'm going to disconnect the meth controller here. Right, so that's it disconnected. Meth isn't working, or the meth's ran out, or the pump stopped working. Any scenario you can think of where the meth would stop working, blockage in the line, whatever. I'm going to keep the logger open and we're going to log map 4 again. So I'm just going to quickly show you that the car is in map 4. If I push the cruise control stick down with the foot on the brake, that shows map 4. Now I'm going to do a pull, and if we take a look at, well, I'll show you what's going on the logger as well. So what we're going to see on average retard across all 5 cylinders is when that goes over minus 4.5, the engine light will flash and it will automatically take me out of the meth map. There you go. Straight away, see me look there. We're seeing retard here. So that's us out of the meth map within a couple of milliseconds. The car wouldn't even let me drive in the meth map with the meth not functioning. Alright, so if I bring the car to a stop now, and just to show you what map the car is in now. So foot on the brake, if I push the cruise control stick down, it's gone straight to 2. Alright, so it kicked me out of the meth map, which was 4, and put me back into 2, which is a safe map, or 97 octane map in this case. But yeah, that's how our engine safeties and our meth kits work. Everything works in harmony, so nobody's ever going to have an issue. I don't need to worry about, or the customer doesn't need to worry about the meth not working. The car will tell them that the meth's not working. It's as simple as that. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. If you'd like to know more, or if you'd like to know anything in particular about RS3, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I look forward to bringing more content to you guys.